Hi, this is Nancy L.T. Hamilton again, and today I'm going to show you how to make your own ear posts for your earrings so you are not held hostage to the suppliers. So, because it's really easy, and I think you can just make like 50 of them and have them laying around, and you're always ready to solder a new one on the back of an earring. So, let's go! So what you're going to need is, I like to use sterling silver because I think it's stronger than the fine silver for an earring back. And this is 20 gauge. And I just pretty much cut off a piece, you know, I don't know, like that long. And at this point what I would do is go into my torch room and ball up both ends. And you want to put a little, I don't know if you can see this, maybe we'll get a close-up of it later, a small ball on the end of each end of the wire. And this will be making 2 posts. Once you have your wire balled up, you can use either a wire draw plate, or this is a lot cheaper, and this is a machine screw and tap gauge that I use for making these little nail heads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a hole that's almost the size of the wire but a little bigger, because we don't want it to get stuck in there. And this, if you don't have a handle like this, I'm sure you can figure out some way to do this to support the metal and still have a hole. And let's see if we can see that. There's a hole in my anvil where I put the back of the wire into it, like so. So now we take our little hammer. You don't need a massive one, but you don't want to go with your lightest one either, because we're going to flatten this ball down now and make a little nail head. Now when you do this, try to hammer evenly around it. I know it's really tiny, but if you hammer it evenly, the pin head, which is, I'll call that this part, will be more centered on the piece of wire. So I just flattened it like that, so it looks like a nail, and then I'm going to tap it out of there. So now we basically have the, see if you can see it here. There's one. I made a bigger one. Hopefully you can see a little better. This is the part that you can solder right onto your piece. I have like these little flowers here, and I've already sanded them flat, and I could solder it on right like that. Well, I'm not going to hold up by itself. I'll show you how to do this in the other room. Or you can do another thing. You can also use little discs and make a whole bunch of little backs. You don't have to solder them onto the piece at this time, and you go ahead and just solder a whole bunch onto these little circles that you can buy. They sell, you know, at stores pre-cut, or you can make your own with a hole cutter thingy. So I'm going to go in the other room and I'm going to show you, oh actually wait a minute, before I do that I want to talk to you about one more type of putting this together. You can also, using the balled up method, pretend this is a nice little earring back here, like maybe that disc. Let's say you drilled your hole too big and you can't get the wire to stay. It keeps wobbling around like that. You don't want to do this if you drilled it too big, but if it's just slightly too big, what you do is you can ball up the back of this wire and put it through here, and then we'll put the solder at this part and then clip that ball off. What it does is when you solder it, you can hold it down like this, it won't fall out, or you can solder it like that, and the ball keeps the wire from falling out. So it's a good trick in case you don't have an absolutely perfect fit on the drill bit size. So in this case I used a 20 gauge drill bit because I'm using 20 gauge wire, and I think the number for this is 864116 from Rio Grande. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you how to solder this to a back, and also how to solder the nail head onto our little disc, and I will see you in there. Okay, so now we're going to put the 2 pieces together. Still trying to figure out an interesting name for this type of ear back, and this is just another way of making it strong. This little space here with our nail head also gives it more area for the solder to sit on and makes it more strong, on a better connection on the back of the piece. So either one of these will work for you for making really nice strong ear wires. So anyway, back to what I was going to say. What am I going to call this thing? And I'm going to call it the insertion method. And this one will be our nail head method, so I don't get too confused or confuse the hell out of everybody else. So what I've done is I've fluxed this, the insertion method one on this side, the back side, and on the top where the ball is. I've also put two tiny cons of solder around the wire in the center there, and fluxed this part, but I didn't flux the ball, so to try to discourage the solder from running all over that and making a bigger mess. So I've also put on, this is the earring back I'm going to make, and I put a piece of solder here, and the pin stem is, or not pin stem, the nail head is in the crosslock tweezers, which we're going to use in a minute. First we're going to melt the solder on there. So now I'm going to do a little soldering and start this up. Be careful that you don't melt your wire here on this one. Also, the idea is to draw the solder down the wire without melting it. So I'm going to just heat up this end a little bit. And I think we've got flow on that one, so that's done. And now this one, I'm swishing it around so that the solder doesn't jump off, because the flux is still liquid, or was. Now it's solid. Now I can move in and just go ahead and melt that. I want it to move over here a little bit more, so I move the heat over. And I'm going to drop this into the pickle really fast, and we'll come back and show you how to put the nail head on the back of the earring. So I've pickled the little flower shape after we've melted the solder, and I have our nail head here. And then I'm going to grab it in my non-dominant hand, and in my dominant hand I'm going to try to pull this as straight as possible. I'm going to melt that solder up again, and then I'm going to come in here and drop this on the melted solder. You want to kind of get this a little heat too while you're doing it, so that they're both hot. Okay, there we go. And it melted, and there we go. We have our earring back on here. So once again, I'm going to pickle this, and then I will finish up the earrings back at the other desk. Okay, so now we're going to work on the insertion method one. It's such a funny name. I'm going to clip off the ball, and I'm now going to find my sanding disc and sand the back off. That's an interesting noise. Holding my breath. Okay, so now you have an earring back that's ready to go for, you know, any, like I said, make a bunch of them, and then when you make a pair of earrings, you just solder this whole kit and caboodle like this to the back of any size or shape earring that you have, and they're on the ready. Or you can just, you know, honestly, you can just solder this part on too. You don't have to do the disc. The cool thing about doing the disc, though, is you can dome these and make like pearl cups or flowers or something with it too. So, you know, you don't have to use just flat metal on it, but either one will work as long as you have a good amount of surface area. That's the important thing, so that there's more places for the solder to hold the two metals together. So here's our flower one. Now this goes the same with this one. What you want to do is you want, what's that goop? You want to measure 1 centimeter long on these, and then we're going to cut them. Now if you have fat ears, you might want, or skinny ears, you might want to adjust this. It's tough to do here. Let's see, there's 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters. So I'm only going to do this on one earring. I'm going to cut my earring there with the flush cutter facing this way. And at this point, what I need to do is mark another 2 millimeters down from the top. This is where we're going to make the little groove for the ear clip to kind of lock down on. So I marked 2 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that. It's very, very, very tiny. And then you take your round nose pliers, you put them on that 2 millimeter spot, and just work them around, squeeze them, and work them all the way around the wire. And you get a nice little groove there for the ear nut to go on, to lock on. Okay. So that's that part of it, and I doubt you can see that, but believe me, it's there. Now we're going to switch to our cup burr, because we need to round this end up. It's pretty rough. So I'm going to find a cup burr that is about the size of the wire itself. This one looks like it'll work. Oh, get back here, Fred. We should have music in the background. It's dramatic opera going while I do this. Keep you guys awake. Okay. Oh, God, my eyes are getting so bad. I'm just going to round this around here and finish this end so it doesn't claw your ear out when you put it in. There we go. That's good. Now, one last thing. Now, this, honestly, I wouldn't do this at this point normally, but this is a trick for when you solder on these posts onto your back of your earrings. This usually gets annealed, this wire, and you don't want a nice soft wire in your ear because it's going to bend badly. So what you do is you take a pair of pliers and you twist it, and that work hardens that piece. So I just just a slight twisting motion like that, and it'll work harden it. Here's an earring I made before with a similar technique. This has the domed shape on here, and of course I made the ear wire, and of course I made the ear nut, but I just want to show you how this works on here. And there we go. There's our ear wire. One of my upcoming videos, we're going to do how to make your own ear nuts, which is a pretty cool technique. Something nice a nice little detail added to your work. So I hope that was exciting and fun for you guys, and I hope you come back soon and watch me screw everything up and teach you something occasionally, I hope. Thanks for coming. This is Nancy L.T. Hamilton, signing off.